pod bay doors, please, pal.
All right.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Look at the coast. We get together, have a few laughs.
A Movie Odyssey with Brad Patel and Gus Trout.
Oh, Michael Caine's being Michael Caine in that movie, huh?
Oh, yeah. He's Michael Caine.
I know only one way how he's doing it, and it's a fucking double.
That's his best role since Cars 2. He's Michael Caine.
I will never do Cars 2 on this podcast.
I'm going to push for a Cars 1 eventually. I'm going to soften you up a little bit first.
If we get 1 million listeners, I will get a Cars tattoo. And
so
we'll do all the Cars.
Is that on top of your 1,000 listener Gwildor tattoo? So okay,
I'm ready for the Gwildor tattoo.
All right, you heard it here first. This is going in the episode. Gus has promised to get when we get 1,000 listeners, he's going to get a Gwildor tattoo, and when we get 1 million listeners, he's going to get a Lightning McQueen tattoo.
Lightning McQueen, yeah.
Cool. I saw Cars 1, 2, and 3 in the
1,000
theater.
times.
In the theater.
Yeah.
All 3 of them. Yeah, and I've seen them a bunch more since then. And the Emoji Movie. I saw that in the theater. We should do an episode on that.
God damn it. It's going to be the Falling Down 2 episode. Well,
I'm saving the recording.
To all our fans out there, we recorded an episode on Falling Down and it went really bad. And I don't there's basically it's not going to air. We had nothing to talk about.
We both hated the movie.
It was Brad's pick, but I'm not blaming Brad, and I think it was bound to happen, and it's going to happen again. That's what we have to realize. It was a learning lesson.
Yeah, we learned something. We're learning things every day with this. I'm learning all kinds of new stuff. One thing I learned is double check your sources. I mean, have to issue a correction before we get started on the movie we're talking about. This is the first time this has come up. It's not going to be the last. I said something.
Thanks, Lucas.
A friend of mine pointed it out too. I said something that was blatantly wrong, which I'm surprised.
And something that you're so well versed with too.
I'm a huge fan of both second and third wave ska, so it's a really embarrassing mistake. I said during our Gross Point Blank episode, I said that Mirror in the Bathroom was performed by the Specials. It's not. It's the English beat. So apologies to all second wave ska fans out there. And special thanks to our eagle-eared listeners.
Two people just like air pumped, like Tiger Woods air pumped, like.
Yeah, my buddy Steve
exactly
in Michigan is listening every week too. So we got a couple of like regular
Michigan
listeners.
homies.
Yeah, I got some Michigan homies tuning in. Shout out Fago. Go Fago.
Brad is currently pouring Fago all over himself right now. The best part was that Brad was so ashamed that he went back in and edited the little tagline to that episode.
I did. I messed up. Check your sources.
Yeah.
So welcome everyone. My name is Brad Patello. I'm joined by my good friend Gus Trouth. And this week we are looking at The Sisters Brothers from 2018.
A piece of gold in a river untouched.
That you have to pour caustic liquid in to see.
Yeah.
Because I never heard of this movie. One of the things we were going to do is with this podcast is occasionally highlight forgotten or overlooked gems. And this is one of those episodes. This is definitely overlooked. I had no idea this movie existed.
And the funny thing about it being overlooked is that the cast is the 4 main characters are like some of the biggest movie stars of our era.
Yeah.
Of our
got
time.
An Oscar winner in there, Joaquin Phoenix. So it's Joaquin Phoenix, John C. Reilly as the 2 main characters.
They're the brothers, the sisters' brothers.
Yes, they are brothers.
Being their last name.
Their last name is Sisters, which I got to say part of the think maybe part of the reason people didn't see this movie is because of the title.
I like the title though.
Just confusing though, out of context.
I suppose so.
And then you got the two brothers, you got the other two main actors are Jake Gyllenhaal and Reese Aslan.
Yeah, he's great.
Who were also in Nightcrawler together.
Yeah. Which is a fantastic movie.
Final screen appearance of Rutger Hauer. He's barely in it.
He literally plays a dead man.
Well, you see him briefly in a window.
Oh, touche.
And then he's a corpse later in the film. So he sends them off. He plays the Commodore, who's sort of the inciting incident of the film. Is
/ the father figure.
Yeah, that's true, because it is about those relationships.
Yeah. My overall thing with this movie is nothing is really happening, but I love it. And also when you think back to it, a ton of stuff is happening. It's all in the details.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many just these amazing little moments happening of character building. It's more about the character building than it is necessarily the progression of the story.
Oh, it totally is. It's a character sketch for sure. The plot is kind of incidental.
But but I also like the kind of twist on the Gold Rush idea with the chemist idea. It's great.
Well, we'll get into the plot, I guess.
Yeah, let's just do a quick plot synopsis.
Okay, so John C. Reilly plays Eli's sisters, and Joaquin Phoenix plays Charlie's sisters. They are brothers, hence the name, the Sisters Brothers. So they work for a kind of a crime lord, played by Rutger Hauer / metaphor for father figure.
The Commodore.
The Commodore. We barely see him. His credit at the end says, "with the participation of Rutger Hauer." I've never seen that credit before in a movie.
I like that.
I've seen "and starring" or "and introducing," but never "with the participation."
Well, when you're the hitcher, people tend to let you do whatever you want.
So they get sent off to, it's kind of a chase movie. It's a Western. I don't know if we mentioned that. It takes place during the Gold Rush. It's 1851. They're in Oregon, and they have to find this chemist played by Riz Ahmed. Am I saying his name right?
Riz
Ahmed.
He's so good. He is so good at there's a really good HBO miniseries called The Night Of. He is, and even his character in Nightcrawler
mm-hmm.
is his ability to play that sympathetic character. It's so he just nails it.
He's the most sympathetic character.
And there's an earnest to him with his drive for harmony and humanity that is so one thing I wrote down was there's something, the acting is so good, you can feel their emotions just looking at like what's behind their eyes. The fire that is in Joaquin Phoenix's character is in his eyes.
Oh yeah.
He is just filled with rage and angst.
Yeah, you don't even need facial expressions most of the time. It's just,
and with like I forget his name in the movie, but Jake Gyllenhaal's character, he is doing his best, and he is extremely skilled, but he is doing his best to blend in. And like how he walks across the boards, he is not blending in at all. His clothing is like a rough determination of what like a Western person should look like. He's obviously, with his accent and stuff, he's coming from the East Coast.
He's a city slicker for sure.
Yeah.
He's a carpetbagger.
It's so good. I mean, just great casting. It's kind of making fun of Westerns. It holds like a weird kind of it's silly, it's serious, it's ruthless, it's beautiful, it's all of these things in one, and it never feels contrived. In my opinion, it just sort of like has this nice flow to it.
Do you think it's a comedy?
It's
Does
very close to being a comedy. When that guy at the beginning of it falls off the roof.
Okay. Well, the internet keeps claiming it's a comedy, and the trailer is cut to make it look like a comedy, but
I definitely think, I mean,
the tone of it, I felt it was too
it
heavy.
has a very interesting tone. You can't quite nail it down, can you?
Too heavy for a comedy, a little too light for a drama. It is a character sketch, and it works in that sense. I don't know if there was like a language barrier. This whole thing was produced in Europe. I don't know if you saw that. The director's French. This is his first English language film, Jacques Audier. First English language film, but he's been working for like 40 years.
I've been a fan of his for a while. He has the first movie I watched of his is The Beat My Heart Skipped. And then his second movie I saw is The Prophet, or Un Prophet. Something about it is very European, the feel of this movie. And I don't know if you would pick that up necessarily unless you were a bit of a cinephile, but the editing, I think, is where it shines.
Of this movie?
And yes. And it's and that to me is the most like French feel to it. It's very jumpy.
Yes.
But in a natural, smooth way. It works.
I didn't notice any awkward edits.
No, it's not
I mean,
awkward, but there is a style to it that I almost can't even put my finger on. I would just
maybe not
be watching a movie
romanticized.
and
Like they're not falling in love with their footage. They're
mm-hmm.
cutting away at an appropriate moment.
It knows when to linger and when not to.
Right. The pacing works in this film.
Yeah.
And the tone I can't quite pin down, but I think that's one of the reasons why it didn't do well. So this movie, they spent 38 million making it. It made 13 million. So it was it lost a lot of money.
Don't you think they knew that coming in?
Well, I was trying to figure out what they spent all that money on. I guess Joaquin Phoenix commands a hefty salary, I'm sure.
Don't you think it was mostly, I bet those guys took zero money. They were pumped to work with the director. And I don't think they made any money. Like they made very little money on this movie. And most of it went to just the period piece and the filming.
Just building things and costumes and that kind of thing.
How good were those sets?
They were great. Yeah.
The sets felt the most, a lot of time in Westerns, it's just this like one lane.
Well, it looks
town.
Fake. It looks like they built it.
Yeah.
It is like they rented a set on the studio. And just
there's trees growing in, and it's a beautiful movie.
The details inside the buildings too, like the wood they're using and just the wallpaper and all the props, and the sets are amazing. It does look really good.
Well, what did I write down? I wrote down, yes, the natural lighting.
Oh yeah,
the dialect, the naturalism, and the hardship of the times and the terrain. The little bits that they include, the introduction of a toothbrush, I love that bit. Him eating the spider.
That was
they're right. Them.
How did they shoot that? The spider. It was a real spider, really crawling into his mouth, right?
No way.
Well, you think
really
it was a CG
effects.
spider?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of these movies, they'll have like killer effects. All of that stuff adds to the effect of the period, even though this movie straddles the line of like naturalistic and stylistic.
You definitely feel what the characters are feeling in terms of like sleeping outside in the rain, right? And just
Yeah, a lot of that.
When he gets John C. Reilly, a spider crawls into his mouth and lays eggs, and he's like sick. I guess that's kind of funny that's the thing about it. It's like the script is written like a comedy, but it's not directed like a comedy. It just like I think about what happens in that scene, and it's kind of funny, but watching it, it's like cringy.
But don't you think it's kind of funny because of John C. Reilly? Like he can pull that serious funny off perfectly.
Yeah, he does do a really good job of being serious, but
and he's the main character of the movie. He is the anchor to this.
He's
movie.
the heart of the movie. He's the one with an arc. Well, they both have an arc. Their relationship has an arc, but
yeah,
it's really his movie. John C. Reilly owns this movie. He is the producer as well.
You also get to see John C. Reilly with long, beautiful hair.
I don't know if I like that. I like him with short hair. It
doesn't look good. It's just hilarious to see him like that.
I was getting serious Ned Beatty vibes. Like if this was an 80s movie, that character would have been played by Ned Beatty. You think?
That's interesting. I can see that.
He's sort of this he's a little bit oafish, I guess. He's a gentle giant. He's really the brothers are like very tender with each other, and they're very sensitive, but then they're brutal too. Like they'll just murder people. And
yeah, I wrote the how good the chemistry is between
the two of them. Yeah, it's
right off the bat. And that first scene around the fire, just how like nailing down the whole brother
like where Joaquin Phoenix is pretending to cry.
That's so good. I love that the movie takes its time to have that scene, and many like it throughout the whole movie.
Character building. This movie's all about that. It's all about the relationship between these two brothers. Joaquin Phoenix is like the hothead, drunk, loose cannon character, like with lots of anger and fire. And John C. Reilly is like kind of the straight man, I guess. He's like the sensible one.
Learn throughout the movie, and I think that just across the board on this podcast, it's just spoilers all around. So just
spoilers for every single movie we're going to be covering,
unless we do a movie that's like, unless we start getting very popular and there's movies that we're doing that are like just came out or something. But this is, if you haven't seen this,
I think eventually we might.
I would hope that you would watch this. If you like this podcast, I would hope that you're like, oh, they're doing Sisters Brothers. All right, I'm going to watch the movie and then listen to them blab about it.
That's ideal.
But you do learn that, spoiler alert, and it doesn't really spoil anything really. It just adds to the texture of their relationship and the characters. But their father was a drunk and abusive, and Joaquin Phoenix, the younger brother, killed the father, and that haunts John C. Reilly. He's the older brother. He should have taken that burden upon himself.
Yeah, it haunts both of them.
And yeah, they have dreams, and it's I think it's a thing that's constantly on their mind. And I think for John C. Reilly, it's conscious, and for Joaquin, it's subconscious.
Yeah.
And that adds to his violent tendencies. And John C. Reilly is such a, I don't know, for the time, I would say, quote unquote, good brother, that instead of like, if my brother's going to be out there like getting in fights and being this violent, I'm going to be next to him saving his ass. And that's what starts the Sisters Brothers, because it is like, Billy the Kid or something. They have a like, hey, we're the Sisters Brothers, and people are like, oh shit, it's the Sisters Brothers. Like there is a what would you call that?
Their reputation precedes
their reputation. Yeah.
They're brutal and they're good. They kill a lot of people.
And aren't those fight scenes, the gun scenes are great. They're like,
I like the first one where it's just like really wide and all you're seeing are the muzzle flashes. It's dark and it's just,
it's so cool. That's where like this movie is stylish, but it's also it's stylish with the motivation of naturalism.
Well, it's also the one that where all right, here's another spoiler. Joaquin Phoenix loses his arm. This is like kind of the very end after they start getting chased down by the Commodore. That one gunfight where you
They're
don't
just
really
constantly in gunfights. Yeah.
well, you don't really see it. You're inside with Joaquin Phoenix, but you kind of see Eli out the window and you hear the guns going off, and then it just cuts to
And
the
you're
outside.
you're hearing it from Joaquin's passed out state. So they're all muffled gunshots. And
Right.
that's what wakes him up. Which is a great idea because it's like in Star Wars and all these and Avengers, the fight scenes become the least important part. Those aren't the best parts. They're like the forgotten parts, the parts where you're yawning almost. You're like, oh, another fight scene.
They've become too choreographed.
So like having this interesting take on a gun scene is really cool.
And there's lots of different takes on it too. You see a lot of different you see gunfights filmed in a lot of different ways, especially when they're like towards the end of the movie when they're just being constantly attacked. You see a lot of different variations on kind of the same scene where John C. Reilly kills everybody basically.
Or they're just constantly running away.
Yeah, or hiding.
Yeah.
So this was produced by John C. Reilly. It was his first movie where he produced it, and it became kind of a passion project for him. His wife,
yeah,
Allison Dickey, who is a movie producer, optioned the book before it was published because she got her hands on a manuscript of the book because she was working on another film adaptation by the same author, a film called Terry. The author's name is Patrick DeWitt. So the two of them were friends because they worked on a production together. She optioned the book in 2011. And then it became their passion project, basically. John C. Reilly and his wife, Allison Dickey. And they worked on it for like 7 years. They were trying to get funding. It was funded from a bunch of different places. Like a bunch of different independent studios funded it. And then the distribution dropped the ball. Apparently, the trailer's not very good. The release wasn't very good. They didn't advertise it.
It's just crazy to me. I know that this stuff happens all the time. I mean, I was in some part witness to it with Under the Silver Lake, because Under the Silver Lake deserves way more than what happened to it. And this movie deserves so much more. And I know deep down in John C. Reilly's heart that he probably is very proud of this movie because he should be.
Yeah.
It's just one of those movies that you go like, what the fuck is wrong with people?
Well, it's
across
not
the board.
This movie doesn't have general appeal.
But fuck that general appeal shit. How I hate that. It's
that's why it doesn't make money. Well, that's why
I understand. That's why
I didn't think they should have spent
that
much money. I think that's why I don't like spending that amount of money. You look at something like Get Out or any of those like.
Yeah, but what are those budgets?
Blumhouse stuff. But Get Out was like $4.5 million. And it made like 100 and it made just ridiculous money. That was
but it's not a fucking period piece.
Yeah, I know.
That movie is smart because it's one location basically.
Right. Well, that's the thing with the Blumhouse movies is they're all that, that's their business model. They just make these really cheap movies, and who cares if 90% of them bomb? If we get one hit like Get Out on.
There is such a cult following to any horror movie.
True.
And there is like a weird sliding scale of what is like acceptable as like being like, well, the effects were really cool, so it's awesome. But like everything else sucked about it. You know what I mean? With a movie like this, in my opinion, there's like everything is right about this movie. The score is so fucking good. The art direction, the cast, I mean, my God, like the acting, the direction.
Well, you don't see a lot of Westerns these days.
Yeah,
anymore,
these days.
Which I like. I like Westerns. I like slow burn character studies like this.
Yeah, my
But
my wife was like,
I'm a film nerd. Like, I
yeah,
don't know. I
I guess
understand why
yeah.
nobody saw it, you know, but
I
it's
guess,
a shame. It is really good, but I don't know.
I'm surprised it has enough, especially with Joaquin's character, if somebody really just gave it that extra 10 minutes to let it kind of work itself out. Yes, it never has, I guess it never has the moment that people want or
You mean in
something.
distribution?
No, I'm just saying, like, when people watching this movie, I feel
Oh,
like people are like, "Oh, I love John C. Riley. He was in Step Brothers. This movie is not that funny, and he's not being that funny. This is weird." Like,
hey, I thought this was a sequel to Step Brothers.
I just think that, like, it is surprising to me. Like, say I'll be at a party and I'll like get control of the music or something, and I'll turn on a song and people are like, "What the fuck is this?" I'm like, "This is like the coolest fucking song ever, you idiots." And they just want, like, people just want to hear and see the same shit they've always ever heard. And I've always been like, give me that song that I've never heard. Like, I am more excited for a song I've never heard that is going to give me that feeling of the song that I love so much. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
the same thing with movies. Like, give me something new that's going to like blow my mind. And I think that bug that I have, which I think you have too, people don't, they just need to be bit by that bug, you know?
So you heard it here first. If you invite Gus to your party, he's gonna get get control of the music and
I will 100% take control
put
of
something
it.
on that's really obscure. And
It won't be that. That's the fucked up thing. It won't even be obscure.
no, I feel you. I agree. I mean, I've been watching. You know, I've been playing
I'll put
catch
the
up.
English beat on, and it'll be like, "What the fuck is this?" I'm like,
Hey, is this the specials? Oh, this is the specials. I love the specials. No, I mean, yeah, I know what you mean. I've been watching a lot of just weird movies. I'm like stuff like big effect stuff just doesn't really interest me that much anymore. I'd
See,
rather.
I am into. I like Avengers Endgame. I'm crying when Captain America says Avengers Assemble. I'm in like shambles. It's so good. I am totally in on that, and I am totally in on this on the Sisters Brothers too. Like, people, I honestly think, my honest opinion is, I'm going to the grave with it, that I think that people don't know what they're missing. Like, they just don't know. They, it's like, uh, I'm young enough. Listen, this is tough. I watch Twitch streamers play video games. All right, people. I said it out loud.
My kids are into that.
People,
That's all my kids watch.
they're all like, young kids, like 24 and minus, and they have these arguments with their followers about like what fast food joints the best fast food, and that's the only level of food that they know. There is so much more out there. There's mom and pop places. There's amazing people out there making this amazing food, and they're arguing over like corporate science food of what's the best fucking shit food. And it's just like, man, I think people are just, they're arguing over what's the best shit movie.
That's a great analogy.
It's true though.
Well, yeah, I mean, fast food's great once in a while.
Yeah,
but,
I like it.
But you can't have it every night.
And it certainly isn't the best fucking food I've ever had.
No, it's like, just if you're in a hurry and you need something to eat and you don't want to cook and you don't.
Well, it also has something to do with money, but
well, that too, yeah.
And I understand that. I was there for a long time.
Yeah. No, man, Gus is secretly deep. So yeah, it's a good movie. We both
I could talk about
recommend
this
it
movie all night. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes place during the gold rush. Let me look at my notes here.
I love that they join together. It's not that they're like this perfect brotherhood, but they come together. And I love that there's all these fun little twists in the story.
Mm-hmm.
The spider, the horse on fire
Oh
at the
God.
beginning.
Well,
That's
his
such-
horse, he has bad luck with his horses. I think
Yes.
that's like a metaphor, like for
Yeah.
his relationship with his brother, because his horses always die, or two of
Well,
them do anyway.
Right. But and also when the chemist approaches Jake Gyllenhaal, like you didn't think that was going to happen. You didn't think that like that Joaquin Phoenix was going to have enough pride to like hang out with the guys he was supposed to like mutilate and torture till they like gave up the answer.
Yeah. So Riz Ahmed's character is a chemist who invents, it's during the gold rush, and he invents a chemical that you pour into the water and it makes the gold light up for a few seconds, basically. And so, and the way that information is released to us is very just like incremental. Like we don't really get the whole story until halfway through. And I think another thing too is this movie might turn some people off because the first act is kind of slow. You know, it's a lot of character building and
Right.
but
I did to that comment, I did write down like how it takes its time, enjoy being with brothers even in the most dull situations.
maybe takes its time is a better way to phrase it. It takes its time. And
But isn't it enjoyable? Aren't you enjoying
No,
yourself?
Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained?
No, I was entertained for sure.
Yeah.
John C. Reilly kind of wants to get out of the business. They're both hitmen for this crime boss, and they're good at it. They kill people very efficiently and coldly throughout the movie. But John C. Reilly kind of wants out.
And Joaquin is very live fast, die young. He's into
Yes.
the whole motif of like, I mean, he's a drunk himself, like his father.
Yeah, there's a lot of
And-
his father in him.
Yeah, he has. And he, what does he say? He says something about that was a gift our father gave us.
Yeah. The anger and the drunkenness. And
Yeah. The blood.
so Jake Gyllenhaal also works for the Commodore at the beginning. He's like a spy.
A detective, I think he calls
Or
himself.
something. Yeah. Or a scout. They called him a scout. He calls himself a detective. But Jake Gyllenhaal ends up joining with Riz Ahmed. And then
you
the
know,
brothers.
he's like a good person inside.
Yeah.
Or he has like a sense of his moralities are like,
Well, he realizes
yeah.
that the brothers have orders to torture Riz
Yeah.
Ahmed until they give him the formula, or until he gives them the formula.
and Ariz's whole thing is like, I'm trying to start a community that like is a true democracy and I think that's stuff that Jake Gyllenhaal's character truly believes in deep
Yeah.
down.
Why would he go to Dallas for that though? Or
That
he
is an
said there were
interesting
people there. I don't know. It seems random.
Maybe it was like a time period thing.
Also, did we ever learn the significance of the shawl? That kind of disappears halfway through, doesn't it? Like where John C. Reilly's got this scarf, this red scarf that he like clings to, and he
think
tries to hide it from
Mm.
Joaquin, and then he hires a prostitute to like.
That's a great scene. That's a great actress too. I don't know her name, but she was in the first season of Fargo. It's the first time I saw her, and she's
Yeah, Allison
Unbelievable.
Tolman.
she's so good.
Yeah, I'd seen her before. She has a bit part.
And I might be wrong here, but my idea of that is that that's his like connection to home. He wants to go back home. The whole time he's like he wants to stop and go back home.
Is that? But we
John
never
C.
learned
Reilly's
that.
character.
We're just supposed to assume that.
That was my assumption, that it was like some girl back home gave him that before he like left, and
Because his brother doesn't even know what it is, right? He's
he
like,
teases them, doesn't he?
yeah, he's like, what is that scarf you always try to hide from me?
Yeah.
And then John
Hell,
C.
maybe
Riley
it's
says,
something that
can
he's
I
just
have
like-
any privacy?
Yeah. Which again is just building the whole brother connection.
But we never learned the significance of it. I thought there was going to be some kind of payoff to that. And there wasn't, but I don't know.
What did you think about the dialect?
I liked it. I
I
mean,
liked it a lot. I thought it wasn't so like, look at me, like, look, we're doing this cool dialect thing. It was just there enough.
well, I like how Jake Gyllenhaal's character will write letters to the brothers because they're like chasing him. They're like 2 days ahead of. And
he's like, you pretentious fuck.
Yeah, he says something like "make haste." And
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix is like, "What does he mean make haste? What kind of crap is that?"
Yeah. Well, I love that, like, through the dialect, it's being like transported to the period, but Joaquin's character is very like contemporary character, or like what we would think is a contemporary character.
Yeah, it's not in your face about the yeehaw, we're a Western. It's just it just happens to be a Western, which I guess that's the backdrop. I mean, it's the gold rush, so that's an important historical backdrop for what's happening in the movie, but it's not like in your face with the Westernness. There is a great bit where John C. Reilly buys a toothbrush and he's using it for the first time. There's like instructions.
Yeah, and he doesn't how he's brushing is very like alien.
Yeah, like he's never done it before.
And it's such a payoff whenever he's brushing his teeth later once they've met up with Jake Gyllenhaal and I'm just gonna call him the chemist because I'm having trouble.
Yeah,
I've had a couple of drinks, guys.
That's fine.
I'm just bad with names, anyways.
Riz Ahmed.
Riz.
I hope I'm saying it right. I hope I don't have to issue another.
Yeah, shit. Well, we'll both have to issue one. But yeah, they're at camp together, the four of them, and John C. Reilly is brushing his teeth awkwardly, and then
he's doing it like he's doing it like a professional, like you should.
Yeah, he's just a professional, like a normal person. Yeah, he just. Yeah.
Or
Jake Gyllenhaal is just brushing his teeth like a normal person. Is like, yeah, I'm brushing my teeth too, man. Like, welcome.
Aren't I civilized?
Yeah.
So the climax of the film involves. So it takes a while to get there. Like 3/4 of the way through the film, you've got several plot twists. And so they test this chemical and it works, but they establish it's very toxic. Like,
yeah, Ariz is a chemist, and he has a separating agent where you're going to pour this chemical into the water, and then you're going to agitate it, and in doing so, it's going to reveal, kind of like in almost at night. They have to do it at night.
Yeah, it's translucent.
Yeah,
or it like glows.
It's like a predator vision almost.
Yeah,
of the gold. Instead of Arnold, it's gold.
But it only lasts for a few seconds.
Yeah, the chemical with the, like, it's kind of like Fight Club, where like the lye and the water causes severe burns.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's saying, like, don't stay in the water for too long. If it starts to burn, get out and wash it off, and then jump back in. And then the whole like gold fever and the greed, Joaquin Phoenix can't help himself. He's like, no, let's keep going. He decides, he, like you're saying, he picks up the entire chemical bucket and just starts pouring it in, and
dumps the whole thing in. In
that act, that straight chemical goes right onto his arm.
Yeah, he loses his arm.
Screaming. Yeah, he has to get it amputated eventually.
Yeah, Gyllenhaal and Riz Ahmed are in the water, and they both fall in and later die.
Yeah, so they're completely covered in chemical burns. And it's like Riz can't see. He's blind.
It's brutal. That's just a brutal payoff to that. I mean,
you've seen No Country for Old Men, of course. I would hope.
Yes.
Okay. When Llewellyn dies, mm-hmm. It's such a pivotal point to the story and the point of the movie that there are no heroes in life. Nothing. You know what I mean? It's like he's going to die as easy as anybody else. Mm-hmm. As a viewer, it's like really hard to watch. It's like a bummer.
Yeah.
And when in this point of the movie, that can almost translate to you disliking the movie because you have such a love for Llewellyn. I love these characters. I love all four of them. And the fate of one night of a screw up it's such a turn in the movie.
Yeah, that's
That it
basically
is-
the climax of the movie.
It's a bummer, man.
Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix loses an arm. You see him getting it amputated later.
That's a brutal scene.
Yeah,
And it makes it even more brutal because they do show a bit of it to give you enough. And then it's basically, you're just watching John C. Reilly like holding his brother down and almost throwing up. And it's so visceral because he's like really spitting.
Yeah. Well,
like
he feels, like you said, he feels indebted. You know?
Well, yeah, but his conviction for his brother is so true and honorable. And how John C. Reilly can like transcend the comedy thing and the seriousness thing. It's incredible.
Yeah, he's got a good range as an actor. He's got
a
lot of screwball comedy stuff, and then he's got
I'd kiss him on the
super
lip.
serious. Okay.
What?
We're learning a lot about Gus tonight. He's gonna go to
I've had one old fashioned and I want to kiss John C. Reilly on the lips.
Gonna make out with John C. Reilly. He's gonna change the music in your party.
Western fat towns feel good tension. Again, I love the score, that simple piano. I like that the score is kind of one, in Predator, it's like just that one score. And it's pretty
iconic,
kind of reusing it. And I've kind of noticed that in movies that reuse their score in different ways, like we talked about in Die Hard, they're using it the same thing, and the same thing in Brazil.
Yeah.
They're using the one perfect score a bit and just using it in different, I don't know music lingo, but they're using it in different ways that like characterize the tone of the scene.
Yeah.
It's a dramatic, or it's fast, or it's slow, or it's classical, or it's jazzy, or whatever.
It's a minor key.
Yeah. Whatever the fuck that means. But I guess this like the piano, like a lot of times, the only times they use the score, there might be like a where there's like playing like a note out to draw up like tension or something.
Yeah,
but
it's understated.
That piano score is almost only used for the progression of distance in their travel. Like they only are playing it in the when they're like going from this town to the next town and like stuff like that, which I thought was interesting.
It's understated.
I didn't pick that up on the second viewing. I made Brad watch this movie.
I watched it twice.
Like in Clockwork Orange, I strapped his eyes.
No, it was good. I liked it. I wrote down, I guess the last thing in my notes, we've got a season of blood ahead of us. That's a line delivered near the end of the movie.
There is this one really good Joaquin, like there's a moment where like it's the movie's not predictable.
No.
And in every fashion, the story and even in the direction, where they just cut to Joaquin in this black iris shot where there's no background and he's lighting a cigarette and he's like reading the script. It's almost like he's doing like a intentionally doing like a line read in like a very actory kind of way. And it's cool and badass. Again, you're right. I guess this is a very like cinephile movie. Fuck.
It's okay. I'm glad, I'm glad movies like this get made.
I agree.
But if everything was like I don't know, just a Marvel or a Disney or, like that's Taco Bell. I like Taco Bell. It's a couple of 7-layer burritos and
I want one right now.
But I can't eat it every night. I need like variety. So I hope movies like this continue to be made, even though they tend to lose money. And I think part of that was the distribution on this really dropped the ball. I think it probably it won tons of awards. It screened at a bunch of festivals, got standing ovations. It won a ton of awards, but then they just didn't market it. They didn't release it.
Yeah.
And they just dumped it straight to video.
What was your, did you like the ending?
With Carol Kane, barely recognizable.
Yeah.
It was.
Also, how much did you love her character within 30 seconds?
Oh, I know. They go back to that's the last thing. They go back to their mom's house.
Yeah. Well, real quick before we get there, so we've established that Joaquin loses his arm.
Right.
It's his right arm, which you would think is his like main shooting arm. So he's kind of like, his wings have been clipped, basically.
No, he wanted to keep. Yeah, like he was a live fast, die hard. Yeah, he wanted to keep gunslinging and being a badass and working for he wanted to replace the Commodore. That was his goal. He wanted to kill the Commodore and take his place.
Yeah. How good were the effects of, and maybe they did it in a really simple way, but he is riding his horse with one arm and it's cut above the elbow, and they don't tie up his sleeve. They just leave it dangling. So whenever the sun is behind them, it's glowing through the sleeve and it looks immaculate.
Yeah, I noticed that. I don't know how they
so
did
like
it.
I bet there's some really, really subtle VFX in this movie.
It's like a digital remove his arm digitally kind of thing.
Like maybe he has his arm behind his back and they're like,
something. He does look a bit awkward in that shot. Now that I think of it, he's sitting kind of awkward.
He has an awkward stance. He has like something, his spine is messed up and his shoulders are screwed. Like when you see him in The Master.
The actor?
Joaquin Phoenix, yeah. He has like.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe it's that then.
He has like a really weird, like forward, his shoulders point forward, like, and his back is arched awkwardly.
I'll have to look for that.
Yeah. Which he takes advantage of in The Master and the Joker, and
the Joker, the character works for the character.
Yeah. I love this movie. The ending to me is since the movie is all basically about John C. Reilly, he just wants to be back home. They're doing these really fun and again, it's this really great dynamic filmmaking where they're starting on a shot and it's like a oneer, and they'll all three characters will be in the kitchen and the camera will seamlessly pan over and follow the mother. Mm-hmm. And she's bringing like warm water to Joaquin, who is now in the bath. And it's just supposed to be this like nice, cool progression of time seamlessly.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah.
Well, I guess there's got to be a cut in there, right?
I think when the first cut is probably when the mom is like about to pass in the camera. I noticed it this second watch. Okay. But it's just that last simple shot of Joaquin or of John C. Reilly laying in bed. He's at home. He's at peace. His brother's alive. He's there with their mother, and the breeze is just blowing in through the window. It's beautiful.
Yeah, he gets to basically retire. Well, the Commodore
my last right, yeah.
we forgot to mention that, but they're going back to Oregon City where.
Well, we had brought up that Joaquin or that Rutger Hauer, who is the Commodore. His one scene it's his funeral.
Yeah,
it's the viewing.
So they're kind of in the clear, basically.
Right.
But Joaquin is now missing an arm, so he can't really.
But it's good. That's like in some fucked up way, it's like the best thing that could happen to him. The last note I wrote was that this movie is genius in its complex simplicity.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. So if you like slow burn character studies, and if you like really good acting, and if you like westerns, check out.
If you're not an idiot and you can like sit through some slightly slow movie, I think you'll like this movie.
Take a break from watching Twitch streams of gamers.
Well, see, I do that too. I can watch Twitch streamers. I can eat at Taco Bell.
We're not total snobs up in here.
I can also think that movie is the best fucking movie I've seen in a long time.
Well, now it's time for a segment that we like to call What are you watching? Not
Gosh, what have I been watching since last Thursday when we
Gus,
recorded?
what are you watching?
We have restarted to watch How I Met Your Mother for like the 100th time because it's a good like throw on at night and instantly fall asleep to.
Gonna turn your brain off. Kinda.
Yeah. Shit. I don't think I have anything good for you.
Okay, that's fine. I saw the new Coming to America movie.
Oh God.
Coming to America would now it's still called Coming to America, but now instead of TO, it's the number 2.
Yeah, they really
super
they
lame.
dumb and dumbered it. Yeah.
Did you see it?
No.
Terrible.
Oh, I couldn't. I wouldn't have thought anything else. I mean, is the first one that good? It has some classic moments where he,
you know
like,
what? I haven't
gets
seen
his-
that.
The royal penis gets cleaned and like.
Well, Eric LaSalle is funny in that too, and he does not come back for this. Most of the other and the barbershop scenes are funny in that, but they're not funny in this.
Yeah.
Super lame. They retcon some of the things that happened in the first movie to where like now he slept with Leslie Jones and they have a son, and now the son is like the heir, you know.
Right. I saw that in the trailer. Yeah.
And I think I didn't do any research, but I think they like shot a scene that's supposed to take place like in the 80s, and then they digitally de-aged him.
Yeah.
And he's got this sort of Peter Cushing from Rogue One look to him, like this sort of Uncanny Valley-ish.
Does he have old neck? Because that's the problem with the Irishman.
So yeah, pretty lame. I do not recommend it. Wesley Snipes is pretty funny though. He's chewing up the scenery.
He's always been good. I like Wesley.
Yeah, he plays like the ruler of the neighboring kingdom. So yeah, pretty dumb. But
It really hasn't been that long, yeah, since.
Yeah, we recorded late last week, so we don't have much for What Are You Watching? Oh man, I rode my bike today for the first time. I am so out of shape. I could barely get up the hill. It is pathetic.
There's no hills in Edinburgh.
There's one. There's that.
Water Street?
No, the one that the ski place is on. That ridge that goes like.
Oh, you went all the way over there?
Yeah. But
we got a rowing machine, and that's kept me toit and swole. I'm toit and swole.
I was doing the treadmill like a few times a week.
I just want the viewers to know that these things I'm saying to Brad, and he doesn't know what I'm saying, and it's going over his head.
I know what swole means.
Okay, the touche. Your eyes were just dead, Brad. I don't know.
I'm swole. No. Like
I hope this makes it into the podcast.
Probably.
Well, guys, this has been real fun.
All right, so on Instagram, my name is Brad Patello, at Brad Patello, all one word. And Gus is Mr. Trout, right?
That's correct.